It seems to have escaped the notice of those who offer Revelations 1:7 as proof of a yet future coming of Jesus, that this verse is taken directly out of the book of Zechariah. And we can see that Jesus also uses this verse in the great discourse of Matthew 24. In Zechariah 12:10, the Spirit is speaking of a time which he designated as "in that day." This term is used extensively by the prophet Zechariah and is a limiting factor for everything which he discusses. Enough of those "in that day" statements are sufficiently specific as to subject or time that there can be no misunderstanding. In that day was to be when God would break my covenant made with all the people. This is undeniably when the old covenant would pass. He says, in that day would be when they shall be in the siege both against Judah and Jerusalem. In that day would be when there shall be great mourning in Jerusalem. In that day would be when there shall be a fountain open to the house of David for sin and for uncleanness. In that day would be when God would cause the prophet and the unclean spirit to pass out of the land. In that day would be when the shepherd would be smitten and the sheep scattered. In that day would be when only a remnant would be saved. In that day would be when God would gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. In that day living waters would go out from Jerusalem. In that day there would be only one God and one Lord. Now, the same in that day, when all of the above was to happen, we are told that they shall look upon me who they have pierced, and they shall mourn for him. And this is the very foundation of the citation of Revelations 1:7.